This is Renegade Mac and Cheese with a supplemental guide to Final Fantasy XIV. This is for my supplemental guides for dungeons, trials, and raids. This particular one is Sastasha, which is the first dungeon you actually go through. I'm doing it with duty support because none of my friends are online, and I prefer playing with my friends to playing strangers. So, first thing you do, I'm going as a tank because it's the only job that I've unlocked, obviously. Okay, so you'll have, unless you are level 18 or lower, between 15 and 18, you'll have to re-up your tank stance. Mine happens to be Iron Will. Okay, when you come in, you'll see on the right that you have 90 minutes to complete this, and you have 5 objectives. Well, what you do, go for, it's all of these dungeons, I believe, are linear. And I like to take it slow on these dungeons. Basically, tanks keep hate. They don't do a lot of damage, but they just keep the enemies' attention on themselves. The healers, aside from healing, obviously, do you see the conjurer there doing damage. It's your choice. If you want to do damage while you're healing, you can. If you want to just heal, that is your choice. Play the game how you want to play it. The healer's main job is to heal. Is to keep everyone alive. Let's put it that way. And then the DPS is basically there to deal as much damage as possible and kill the enemy as fast as possible. You'll notice that I went past a room in this dungeon. That is an optional room. I should probably go back to show you what's in that room. Okay, I'm gonna go back. I'll finish way before the 90 minutes is up. Oh, one other thing. When you come in, I had that. You want to bring out your weapon, and then I use boiled eggs for this, but you can really use any food. Yeah, it literally is an empty room. There's nothing in here. But food grants a 3% experience buff when you get it on enemies. In dungeons, the bosses grant the EXP. But there's a bloody memo. The captain likes his seas blue. Okay. Remember that. That changes every dungeon. And I will explain what that is when we get to it. See, that was the empty room. We started there, and that was the empty room we just left, and then we continue. Sorry about that. At least I looked away. Okay, the clam, when its shell's closed, it's invincible, as you can see. Hey, get off that. Okay. And you can go one of two ways. You can go down that way and go after the shell, or you can come after the Ariella. Either way, as you'll see, they link. So 6 one way, half dozen another. And you won't have a lot of abilities at this level. But that's okay, you don't need a lot anyway. And normally, when you're in with other people, whatever comes in a treasure chest gets put into a treasure pool. And you'll have to lot on it. Meaning you might get it, or you might not. Okay, and this was what the color was. We have red, green, and blue. If I chose red or green, I would get poison and an Ariella would show up. But things said blue. Have an inconspicuous switch that releases a cat. You want to throw up your defensive buffs and then your offensive buffs. Because if you throw your offensive buffs and die, well, then you just waste your offensive buff. There we go. Okay. Now this will contain gear. Since I'm by myself, I always get the gear. And see, that gave me an 83% experience bump because of the extra experience from resting in a sanctuary. 80% from the sanctuary buff or rested bonus, and then the 3% of that from the food buff. I know 3% is not a lot, but 3% adds up. And when you use duty support, the support you have is always the same. It is a conjurer, a lancer, a thaumaturge, and a marauder. Those are the four that that show up. Okay, I'm going to pause here and show you that the rooms here that octopus off do not show up unless you go in there. So you will not get the full map achievement for this area unless you actually go in the rooms. And a lot of the times, people just want to get through the dungeon, so they just go to that room, defeat the boss, and go that way. Through that door. Sorry about that. Grab the captain's quarters key. Come over here. Let's start this. I know what the problem is. I has allergies. That's why I'm sneezing a lot. And it sounds like I'm sick. Okay, that should help. The sneezing I was fine with. It was the watery eyes that clued me into what was happening. And they're drunken sailors starting a bar brawl. When you have an AoE, the best thing to do is AoE until there's 2 left, and then single target. Grab the key. Open the door to the hole. And these are, I expect, the people who actually live here. Yeah, with that comment, they were captured and thrown in the hole. I like fighting what everybody else is after I've gotten my 2 or 3 total eclipses. So that the enemies that I'm not hitting will stay targeted on me, and I help bring down the one that everybody else is targeting. Not yet. Aha. They changed the whenever paladin weapons come out, because there's a sword and shield, you saw that it's arms instead. Meaning the sword and shield, it's a combined item that you have to use. Two. I'm over here. That way you could get them all at once. Okay, now you could have just done these two, gone in the captain's quarters, dealt with that, and then went over. But if you do it that way, you don't have to worry about after this. He drops Wave Rider Gate Key. Two. And three. And when you're tanking, always face the enemies, because you will block more that way. Because you can see the hits coming. Okay, in just a second. There's going to be some ads. There we go. He goes running off. You know what? I've never been back here. This is just a cage. Okay. And you'll notice now, all on the right hand side, all of the objectives are now unlocked. I would go at this one at a time, because if you do it more than one or two groups at a time, you will get overwhelmed. If you're doing it at level, you will get overwhelmed. Okay. Now you can go to the right and go that way. You gather 2 more groups, or you can go to the left and just grab the 1 group. Okay, and then it will do a cutscene. You'll get a cutscene at the beginning, a cutscene for the final boss, and a cutscene at the end. Okay, and for the mob killings for those guys, in a recent patch, before a recent patch, I should say, it used to give XP for each mob killed. Now, all of that experience comes from the boss room mobs, regardless of how many you kill. Don't know why they did that, but that is now a thing. And this guy is just basically just try and kill it as fast as possible. Watch out for the AoEs. Don't worry about the ads. I wonder, does the duty support go after the ads? Let's find out. If they pop up before we kill the thing. They do. Okay. That is interesting. Okay. And the Conjurer is a Hume, the Lancer is an Elven, the Thaumaturge is a Lalafell, and the Marauder is a Rogadin. But since I'm going tank, it doesn't show that. Okay, and at the end, you're guaranteed a piece of gear. Regardless. So in case you didn't get any, that's what happened. So that is the end of Dungeon 1 Sastasha. And I will see you in the next video.